20 hours or so since we talked to you last. What have you learned about Furman that you didn't know last night?
Well, I mean, the more you watch a team, you get a feel for them. There's a reason why they've been so good for so many years. That program's been established, and they really play the right way. They're a veteran team, player of the year in the league, leading scorer in the conference, first team. They have very good point guard, fours, guards. They can get it down the floor, shoot it well, but run good stuff and play hard defensively. And, again, with a couple guys, I think a couple guys came back for their fifth year. They're a veteran team, and they've played well, and you can see it. And they're you get to this NCAA tournament, there's so many good teams. I think as the years go on, the teams get better, as we talked about, because of the transfer rule and even at the fifth year and all that stuff. And they do a lot of good stuff. And so they'll challenge you in a lot of ways. So just grew watching them and knew that going into it. But you can see why they've been successful, not just this year, over the years.
You mentioned him, Jalen Slawson. What kind of stands out about him individually and the challenges he presents?
He's just good. He's mature, and he's a complete offensive player and very competitive. At his size and length, he can shoot the three, put it on the floor, pass as well, and you just look at complete guys. And their five can shoot it as well. He can sometimes play the five, but his versatility, I can see why he was a player of the year in the league, and they use him in unique ways, how they stretch the floor, and he's kind of almost like a point forward or point guard forward type. So talented player, and like I said, he's probably very worthy of that player of the year in their conference.
Speaking of Slawson, obviously Ben being out is a big loss, but it has meant that Caden's got more opportunities, Poppy, Ryan as well, obviously. How do you envision that sort of matchup with him working out?
Yeah, you'll have to see, because he's very mobile. So, again, it's everybody's got to be ready to go. We watching Filipowski play, against Duke and some of these mobile guys. You have to be ready for guys that play at the four that can shoot it, put it on the floor, make some plays. And I think, we got 9 able guys right now, and counting, the scholarship guys, and they all got to be ready to go. And, it will be a collective effort because they're going to make you guard with cuts and movement and clever stuff. So guys like Slawson but all their players you have to really be ready for, because they all can shoot the three and put it on the floor with good movement.
Coach, you get one of the earlier games, obviously playing at 12:40 on Thursday. Do you like that? Is there any advantage to playing an earlier game, or a disadvantage because you have less preparation time? Or?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think so. You just got to be ready to go. We've played all sorts. I guess the last 2 games or 3 games in the ACC tournament, 2 of them were pretty late, so this is different. But just get down there, and it's such a great opportunity to be in this tournament. I told our guys after, remember last year, we were excited to play in the NIT, but wanted to play in the NCAA tournament. And, just that feeling of, again, why certain guys really came here and all that, it makes it worthwhile. But as far as the time, it's, when that ball's tipped, you got to be ready. And I think both teams understand that.
Yeah, Tony, second straight NCAA tournament appearance where you're going to be playing a 13 seed. Just kind of what have you taken from kind of that experience? And you mentioned how much deeper it is this year. The 12-13 line looks really deep with really good teams. Just what have you taken from that?
Be ready. Anyone can beat anyone. I mean, again, and that's relevant. It's just like in your conference, any game you play, it's who's playing the best basketball. Matchups matter, and being ready. But there's, I think as the years go by, especially even this year, last year, it's the seeding, the lines are blurred. So being ready, and again, you certainly, we always talk about you can't fear any of your opponents. You respect all of them, and you play to the best of your abilities, and kind of be about what your game is and understand, their strengths, and get to your game. And it's kind of how we've tried to approach the whole season.
Coach, after the game, the guys were clearly disappointed that they weren't able to pull out the title, but said that in the post-game you told them you were proud of them. How do you think they've responded? I don't know if you've been able to practice yet, but emotionally, physically getting ready to have this quick turnaround and play for something bigger.
Yeah. Well, last night we were together we actually stayed over because it was late and the time change. And so we stayed over and drove back, and then we got together for the selection show, so we didn't practice yesterday in that regard. But, you're a little tired physically and emotionally after 3 days in a row in a tournament. But as I said, that was a hard-fought tournament, and and losing Ben and the guys rallying around him and coming together. I said I was proud of you, but there's also thankful for what we learned, in some of the areas we struggled against Duke. And so you'll apply that, and we will apply that, and get to work. And you're in a routine now, and so that part's good. There's not a lot of days off. You got to get ready to go, and again, be purposeful in these prep days leading up to it.
I know you and your fellow coaches have known for many years that, teams from smaller conferences can jump up and beat anybody. Do you think the players realize that maybe the landscape of the sport has changed, as you were saying, with the transfer portal and fifth year, that, the days of a Power Five being a prohibitive favorite over a smaller team are long gone?
Yeah, I hope so. I think, as you watch film and you show them that and see that, I think that's very clear. So, but as I said, you have to know who they are and understand, the opponent you're going against, and not get distracted one way or the other. This comes down to, again, how you can play. But I think, again, with there's so many good transfers, Ben being one of them for us in our league, guys that came from, whether it was that league or other leagues that have come and just, dominate's not the right word, but done so well and performed at a real high level in the Power Five conferences. Guys can play. Again, I go back to my Green Bay days, and we always say good basketball knows no divisions or limits. It's just good basketball. And again, when you have veterans and quality coaching and just enough depth, that's what makes the tournament so captivating. And again, it seems like the last 2-3 years since that rule changed, it's right there.
What have you discovered in the 3 games playing without Ben that might can work in your favor? And with him leaving a bit of a scoring hole, what do you do to make up for that?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I think there's certain things you're a different team. He was so versatile and could stretch the defense, pull bigs out of lane. He had a skill and a steadiness that and he was a smart, sound player, strong. So there's things that he did that we got used to. So you miss those, and he played well in big games for us. But then, seeing the guys respond, we got a really good lift from Caden and Poppy, and then Tane came in and, obviously gave us a little more size, rim protection, certain things like that. And so it's just kind of finding those matchups and seeing what works, and again, who you're playing against. But I think we are different without him. But there's just some things that you kind of go to. And so I thought the guys responded well. And, of course, he's missed, but responded well without him. And actually, he had a successful surgery this morning, so that's good news. And, hopefully everything will be good with his right hand.
Tony, if you could kind of go back in the Wayback Machine, your first season here, you talk about the pillars and some of the things you've done. That team didn't win as much on the court, but how important was that year to establishing kind of what you wanted this program to look like? Yeah,
I think you always have a choice how you're going to do it, what you're going to emphasize as a staff, and the young men that decide to be part of the team and the program, and you just try to stay as true to it as you can. There'll be ups and downs all along the way, especially in the first year in rebuilding phases. There's probably more adversity and downs in a lot of ways. And so you really kind of sift through, all right, who do we have? Who's going to stay with this? As a staff, are we going to stay together? As a program, what players can you go through the adversity and lose with, and then grow from that? So you're just trying to establish those things, and I think it is. You talk about building a house and a foundation. What you build it on matters, because if it's not built on a good foundation, and as they say, when the storms and the winds come, it'll collapse. But if it's built on a strong foundation, it'll last. There's a good song by Maren Moses, help me out here, called Maren Morris, called If the Bones Are Good, the Rest Don't Matter. The paint may peel, the glass may shatter, let it rain, but it all stays the same. Meaning, the bones of the house, the foundation. She actually performed here at JPJ. And I actually heard her when I was walking to my office, and I heard she was doing a sound check to that song, and I like stuck my head, and I love that song. But again, I know I'm getting off track, but not really, because it's the foundation in that first year, and it's something that you have to continue to, what would be the word, water, tend to it, the foundation, and stay true to those things, because you're going to go through so many different things. You got to be able to handle success. You got to be able to handle adversity, and go through it with the right guys. So, long answer to a short question, but an important question for sure. Yeah, yeah, no, the name, but not the voice. That's what I'd say about my singing.
Coach, on Saturday, obviously, some offensive struggles against Duke. When you look back at that, how much do you think was just Duke obviously having very good defensive personnel and having a good scheme, and how much of that was sort of something that you can adjust and sort of look at improving moving forward?
I think both, and Duke has gotten better. Defensively, they're bought in, they're long, they're athletic, and they challenge you. I thought they got us at times out of character. I think not in a, we got rushed a little bit, and like, man, we're struggling to score. We gotta win. We gotta get this shot. And sometimes we drove and turned it over, and it led to some baskets for them, and they got us a little out of character at times. But it was challenging. So part of their defense, part of sometimes in that game what was needed, we didn't quite execute to the best of our abilities. Again, the fight was there. We battled on the defensive end. But I think, yeah, you keep looking at that and saying, okay, what can we learn from it? And that's why it's really valuable to go through it as much as we want it to win. Sometimes, as you say, in a loss, you realize, okay, we can't take these things for granted. And so we'll use that to hopefully our advantage.
Tony, when you go to scout a first-round opponent like Furman, or the assistants go to do their scouts, are you looking for opponents they played that have some pack line tendencies? Does that become more valuable? And have you been able to find any such overlap for Furman?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's all of the above. In scouting, you look at, scouting's become pretty darn advanced, and you have so much access from the days when, you use 2 tape decks and you're, cutting tape that doesn't even exist anymore. But, you find certainly how they guard certain actions, what they do against certain actions. So you're looking at similarities, teams they played in your league or stuff like that. So it's all of the above. It really is. There's not a perfect answer, but I mean, it's exhaustive in terms of what you can find out and what they can get on us, what we can get on them. And like the moment it's selected, bang, your video guys have your Lacey filled up, and so I don't know if there's enough hours in the day to watch everything, but you certainly get a good idea. And that's why seeing how they've executed offensively and defensively, catches your attention. And so they know what they're doing. It's a good young coach, really good young coach. And I mentioned the guy that was before him was, friends with my father, and they built that program, and Coach Ritchie was under him, and they really do it well. We tried to build our program like that at Green Bay when I was a player there, and so I have so much respect for those teams that just keep going and building it. And they're primed for this. This was the year they all came back. So be an exciting challenge. It really is, and looking forward to it. And the film validates all the things I said.
Just a quick one on Johnny Carpenter. Like, you talk about the prep process. Like, how much does Johnny help with that? And not just when looking at a game, but big picture, in-game stuff, prep for the next game, and especially balancing all the stuff that he's done lately.
Our whole staff is amazing that way, and Johnny Carpenter he's the most technically advanced because he's the youngest, so he knows everything about sports code and synergy and huddle, and he's always like, hey, Johnny, come here, help me edit this. I've actually gotten better. I'm pretty good. I'm not like my father or some of the other coaches, but he's amazing, and he has such a hunger for the game, and he goes above and beyond. So I'm fortunate to have the staff I do, and Johnny, the thing I have to warn Johnny about is he's married and he has a young child, and there has to be some guardrails because it's not worth, you gotta kind of protect the important things. But he's a incredible worker, and again, his eye for the game. He's had good experiences with the Dallas Mavericks and Rick Carlisle. He's gone overseas and done a little coaching. Worked with Joanne Boyle as a grad assistant, so he learned incredible stuff there. And then just loves the game and is a valuable with all the video stuff and the relational piece of it with our guys. So, and he's getting his MBA at Darden. So yeah, I mean, add that, and he just had a child. So I don't get it. They make him different now. I don't think, Bach, you and I couldn't have done that. I know that for sure. You might have been able to. I couldn't have. I still don't have a master's. Yes.